Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of KSP Resurgence. Today we are landing on Aklarka's moons. Now this huge blue Hycean planet is called Aklarka, yet last episode I landed on it and returned to orbit with this really cool space plane. Today I'm going to reunite the crew with the mothership and explore its two moons, Majesty and Requiem. Majesty is actually a pretty sizable moon, similar to the Mun in shape I would say. It has 0.2 Gs and might actually be a good place for a colony. It's nestled in between the rings of Aklarka and actually is a shepherd moon, considering it does influence the shape of the rings. Shepherd moons use their gravity to move the asteroids in the asteroid belts and rings, and actually make them collide with the moon. That's what they're called, shepherd moons. They guide the asteroids. Requiem is a much smaller moon, similar to Gilly in terms of size and gravity. It's in a much more inclined orbit, but thankfully our mothership has way more Delta V than we actually need. Speaking of Delta V, when I tested this, it actually had a little bit more Delta V, but I'm running on fumes at the moment. It's probably because I actually ended up putting more oxidizer than I originally intended in the wings for some reason. So, I mean, I use stock oxidizer just because it's what the fuel cells need to generate electricity for these plasma engines to run. I really like the hybrid nuclear jet engine plus plasma engine setup here, just because it can fly indefinitely in an atmosphere and a long time in a vacuum. So it's really nice. Anyway, here we are with the mothership named Fortitude. It has cool gravity rings. It's a fission fragment engine. If you look closely, you can also see the lander and all this golden foil glory, but I'm not sure if you can have the best view of it right now. Speaking of which, that vacuum lander actually runs in a very, very exotic fuel mixture of diborane and liquid fluorine, which is very toxic yet highly efficient. Now, unfortunately, I cannot actually dock this due to the fact that I did not include any form of docking port. So, I'm just going to EVA the Kerbals so they can transfer the science and all the other cool stuff and get back inside. Now, there's a weird visual glitch when I looked at the Kerbals' faces. Sometimes they just disappeared and was replaced with a black void. So you can see it now. Well, you saw it, but it flickered between a normal Kerbal face and a glitched one. I didn't experience this glitch anymore. It's just kind of a weird. Also, I didn't put a probe core on this spaceship, so I'm just gonna leave it in orbit, I guess. Stuck here forever now. I mean, the fuel cells are still running, so it'll just keep on running until it eventually runs out of fuel and beryllium, which is what the fuel cells run on. It's kind of like a giant battery, to be honest, those fuel cells. Oh, I just had to take a screenshot here just because the clouds here looks pretty cool and a little trippy, to be honest. Anyway, I'm making a maneuver to our next destination, Majesty. Now I do have to like press the tab buttons just to get the focus in the right place. It's really annoying too, because the atmospheric bodies with volumetric clouds configs, like, they take 5,000 years to load. Maybe it's because my RAM is like filled to the brim right now. It's probably using like swap space or something. I have 32 gigabytes of RAM, but my KSP game data folder is like around 37 gigabytes, I think. Not to mention my operating system and all the bloatware that comes with the Windows is using up a sizable amount as well, so my RAM is always full, but I got 32 gigabytes of RAM. I will be using 32 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, I was thinking about getting a RAM expansion, but like with the current setting of the RAM prices right now, in case you haven't heard, there's a RAM shortage, kind of like a crisis right now. So RAM is extremely expensive right now. So I guess that's not going to happen for a while. I mean, I am hoping to get a new hard drive for Christmas that will be able to, just because my current hard drive is getting a little full. Because these YouTube videos, they actually take up quite a bit of space. Anyway, a small tangent aside, here we are on our way to Majesty. Great view with the rings and everything else. I mean, I would really like to colonize this place because I'm coming in on a polar trajectory just so I can use my survey scanner to see if it actually has good resources and if it's worth actually colonizing. And as you're about to see, it actually has everything I'm looking for. It has ore, metal ore, uraninite, it has water. I mean, not in the spots I want, but it also has hydrates, which I can get water from in all the right places. And yes, it has helium-3 also for future fusion applications. It has everything I ever want. It also has a magnificent view of Aklarka, which is probably my favorite planet in this entire star system, I think. Just because I like how blue it is, and also I like high-seeing planets. I don't feel like they get enough attention. I mean, we got high-seeing planets kind of in Beyond Home, Celestial Harmony, which is this planet pack, and also Kerbal has like a Miller's Planet analog, which is kind of like a high-seeing planet. It's an ocean world, at least. It's an ocean world. I mean, I don't see enough hot Jupiters in planet packs, because, well, in case you didn't know, a hot Jupiter is like a gas giant really, really close to its planet star, and like the only hot Jupiter I know of in a planet pack is Kerbal has like one hot Jupiter, and that's it. Doesn't even have any moons also. So I'm gonna land on 2 spots today, because the first spot I landed on had all the resources, but Majesty is tightly locked. I mean, it would be nice to, I mean, yeah, I actually won't be able to communicate all the time, just in case it's facing away, but it's tightly locked, so you won't always get a perfect view of, in fact, you'll never get a perfect view of Aklarka on the dark far side of it, so that's why I landed on 2 spots this episode, just so I can survey another spot that's on the Aklarka side of the moon. Just because I really want a perfect view of the planet when I'm doing all my colony stuff. Besides, make some killer screenshots and some killer thumbnails. In fact, the reason I feel like my most recent video, the one before this one, did so well is because the thumbnail just looked amazing. The mod I'm using for this little landing marker is called Kerbal Engineer Redux. Really well-known mod. Kind of like fumbled that a lot, but yeah. Other than all the resources I'm looking for, it has like a bunch of other resources that I have no idea what they do. Like maybe they're like involved in some USI crazy crafting resource trees. But I don't have USI. I might try it in a future video. Not video, I mean series. But adding a life support mod in progress save is what is known to be a really, really bad idea. So, life support all this series, maybe next one. Yeah, we kind of like screwed up this landing, so I did have to try again to find a suitable landing spot. As you can see, it has Majesty here is a bunch of crystal structures very similar to Krob. And Krob has like a bunch of crystals and some geodes. This one has a little bit more short and stubby crystals, as well as those really, really long ones. In case you don't know, Krob is actually where I have my other colony. It's where I built my 2 interplanetary vehicles for this save file. But, I mean, it's very similar to Majesty, so I think building a colony here would just be a little bit repetitive. I mean, too similar to Krob. I might build it on another moon that I'm yet to explore. In fact, the only planet I actually haven't explored yet in this series is Magnifica, which is a big pinkish magenta colored gas giant with 5 moons, so plenty of colony potential there. And actually, these next 3 episodes after this one are going to be the final 3 episodes in this part of the series. Because after this, this will be the end of season or part 1 of KSP Resurgence, because we've done everything in the harmonious system. So at this point, I guess it will be time to go interstellar and start exploring other star systems. Of course, I'll also set my interplanetary colony in season 2 of KSP Resurgence. I do want to keep the KSP Resurgence name just because the title actually has some interplanetary destinations in the letters. So I don't want to have any false advertising or anything. Now, I did want to see if we actually got to see a view of Aklarka. As you can see, it was tightly locked, and also the lander just decided to jump up and fall on its side. Unfortunately, it covered up the only hatch to the inside. So what I did have to do was end up loading a quick save to revert back to the part before we EVA. The lander did decide to jump up, but I was able to have control over it and get it to land nice and safely. Now, I didn't have to do the EVA. I didn't get all the Kerbals out again, just because doing so would be kind of a waste of time. I already got the screenshot, I already did the photo op, so I'm just gonna get the science and leave. Now, since we're in the vacuum of space, I don't really care about leaving all these experiments open, just because it just saves me a few clicks. And of course, I have to do the experiment and plant the flag, because if I don't plant the flag, I mean, like, what's the point of going interplanetary if you don't plant flags? It's like the one thing you're supposed to do in Kerbal when you land somewhere, is to plant a flag. Anyway, we did everything we want to do here, now it's time to take off. Now, this lander is grossly overbuilt. I originally did it for my Daystar mission, which is a hot volcanic world very close to its parent star, in case you're wondering. And because of that, the solar panels, there's not enough for somewhere this far out. Thankfully, I was able to find a way around that, just because, I mean, this command pod actually is kind of like a drone probe core, so it thinks it's a drone core and requires electric charge. But unfortunately, I didn't discover that until it was too late. Not really too late, I just turned on hibernation and, you know what? Forget about that. I'll tell you more when it gets there. I don't want to spoil the entire episode. We have a little bit of suspense. Besides, helps the viewer retention a lot. Now, this is my second landing. I mean, it's the same biome, so there's no new science. I just want to survey and plant this flag on a certain spot where I'm going to end up building my colony. This spot will be better just because, well, it has all the same resources and all, but it also has a great view. And, I mean, in real life, a great view isn't really going to do too much, but, like, for a YouTube channel setting, it's going to look good, and I really would like these videos to look as good as they possibly can. Now, I did start burning a little late, so I did have to pitch up a little bit to avoid crashing into a hill. I mean, this spot is a little hilly and not very flat, but this crop colony isn't that flat either, so it's not that bad. Anyway, we have a great view of Aklarka here. Not to mention the resource distribution is very, very good. You got all the resources, you got Uraninite, you got ore, metal ore, helium-3, hydrates, the whole enchilada. I'm not going to do another photo op, I will plant a flag here just to keep track of the spot before I eventually send a colony here. Well, I may or may not send a colony here, depends on how attractive the other options are. But this is like the first candidate in my all my interplanetary travels of a colony I'd actually go to. Now, this is the part where I take the lander and bring it back to orbit. Now, this engine may be running out of fuel, but the next moon, Requiem, actually is very, very low gravity, so a minimal amount of fuel will be required to actually land and return. In fact, I think a Kerbal and an EVA suit can actually do a landing. But of course, I want to take all the experiments just because I want all the science. It also didn't help that I didn't get a lot of science from Aklarka, just because, I mean, I couldn't really do a lot of science experiments just because I couldn't go on EVA and reset them, because the Kerbal would probably fall and drown or something. So, I did have to run all the experiments from the inside and then retrieve them once I was in space. Thankfully, though, I do believe all the biome hopping I'm going to do with Requiem will actually make up for all the science that I lost. Not really the science I lost, more like potential science. I've noticed that getting a good rendezvous is easier on smaller planets just because I always end up closer. I mean, it may not be the safest pointing a toxic engine with lots of toxic rocket fuel towards crew vehicle, but to be honest, I don't really care. The Kerbals don't care. Nobody's getting cancer and dying, so I suppose it's safe for them. Besides, what if these chemicals aren't actually toxic for Kerbals? What if Kerbals could actually survive anything? I mean, for one, they definitely can't survive heat or extreme radiation. Because if you put them in the back of a beam core antimatter engine, they'll probably die. I mean, I haven't actually tested that, so you never know. Anyway, all the science is safe, and it's time to go to our second destination. Now, this next moon, Requiem, is working asteroid. It's actually in a very inclined orbit, so I do have to do a pretty expensive plane change. But to be honest, I have a lot of Delta V to work with, so I don't really care about how expensive my burns are. I did have to goof around the maneuver tool just to get an encounter. Didn't help that we had him over in an ellipsoid orbit, but I eventually did get an encounter somewhat easily, considering how small this moon was. Now, I was a little bit worried about this moon, just because in one of my previous experiences, in one of my Trom 4 I did all so long ago, one of the moons, the smallest moon of Trom, which is a Blade dwarf planet, actually was so small, caused like so many bugs. Like simply jumping will get you out of the sphere of influence. And also, there's another weird glitch that happened when I went on EVA once, and since I went out of the sphere of influence, my Kerbal flew away from the spacecraft. So I was a little worried that I have similar glitches here, as well as some parallax issues, but it just worked. Everything worked fine. Even looks pretty nice, especially up close. I mean, from the map view, it just kind of looks like more of a blurry blob. But up close with parallax continued, it looks beautiful, in fact. Yeah, well, I do have the Delta V, I have the time, might as well scan this and do a survey. Maybe this will be actually my future colony spot. But considering how small it is and how inclined it is, and due to the fact that the resource distribution isn't all that good, this is not going to be a future colony. There are a lot of factors I take into choosing a planet for a colony, or a moon in this case. First of all, the resources. If it doesn't have like an ore, metallic ore, uraninite, helium-3, or hydrates, it's off the table. Also, accessibility. This is on a very inclined orbit, so it's not very accessible to the space center, of course. Yeah, this is the part where I land on it, because of course I have to land on every body. Besides, I don't want to see what's down there anyway. Not to mention I also do need the science, because I'm going to need a lot of science to build my first interstellar vehicle sometime very soon. I'm going to get all that science, though, on my Magnifica 5 mission, which is going to be a grand tour of the final planet I haven't explored yet. Now, this crater looks very interesting. This is where I'm actually going to do my very first landing on this asteroid moon. Of course, I have to do all the science, and here we go, time to land. Now, this crater, it probably isn't the best spot for electricity because it's perpetually in the shadow, it seems like. I didn't time warp too far because my battery would probably die on this. I don't have any RTGs on this, it's just solar panels. I didn't even make any edits for my Daystar lander. This is the exact same lander used for the mission. Well, not the exact same lander. That lander crashed into Daystar ages ago, but it's the exact same design. And also, this weird glitch here where I grabbed onto the ladder, the lander started floating. Since the gravity is so low here, I guess doing that here is actually somewhat noticeable. But I guess if I'm ever out of fuel on this place and need to return to orbit, I know what to do. Ladder physics in Kerbal Space Program are incredibly broken. Like, I've heard stories of people using ladders, because if a Kerbal's on a ladder, like, they weigh nothing. So I've heard about people using that to make a really hyper-efficient, like, 2-ton Joule 5 missions or something crazy like that. Anyway, this is only the first landing. There's actually several biome hops after this. So I'm going the slopes, then the peaks, and then I think... I forgot what biomes I would go to. I mean, I have all the fuel I need. This is a very, 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 very small moon with very little gravity. And therefore, very few meters per second to delta V are actually required to do any sort of landing. Of course, I have to make sure my SAS is on, or else the lander will tip over because of the trippy ladder physics. Especially on this one, due to the fact that the ladder area is a little cramped and the Kerbals sometimes don't really fit in there, and sometimes they bump their head and end up going ragdoll. I originally thought this antenna would actually reach the Kerbal Space Center because whenever I tried transmitting it, it always extended this antenna, but it actually doesn't. I mean, I really hate it when I try transmitting something, but it always extends like the wrong antenna and doesn't transmit it without extending that antenna. It's like really, really dumb and annoying. I hate it. It takes like 5 hours for it to deploy, and then it retracts it. Like the least you can do is leave it extended. Anyway, I'm not gonna spend much time here because it's in the dark, and as I stated numerous times, electricity is kind of a exotic luxury here because we're far away from Harmonia. We're far away from our parent star, so solar power is somewhat hard to come across. Now, I think this is the part where I did have an issue, or I might have cut that part out, but I was talking about how since this is a probe core, if it runs out of electricity, you cannot control it. So I did have to turn on Hibernate, because for some reason the configs say that this is a probe core, despite the fact that it holds Kerbals. Which is I find to be really, really, really annoying. Thankfully, just turn on hibernation, it practically like uses no electricity. You know, it kind of annoys me. Why don't all probes have hibernation auto during warp on by default? Like for some reason it doesn't do that. Because why won't you have hibernation on by default during time warp? I mean, you don't even need all your functionality during time warp. You can't really do anything during time warps, and you're just using excess electricity. So I wonder why that isn't the default option. Some minor inconvenience. Especially if you're trying to do a cryogenic tanker and you have boil off enabled. Then you end up using all your electric charge and suddenly you don't have any fuel anymore. Now I'm going to say goodbye to this lander and I'm going to send it plummeting back into the surface. Of course I gotta make sure that I know Kerbals actually were on that lander. Got all my 8 Kerbals who were actually on board. Somehow, some of them ended up in the storm cellar I never use. Now, Aklarka's pretty much completed. I've landed on every moon, even Aklarka itself, so it's time to return home. First, I do want to make sure I'm on a not so inclined trajectory because I think that might hamper my ability to return home. Now, since I have a lot of fuel and a lot of delta V, I could just burn straight towards the Sanctar. Well, I don't really burn straight towards it, I just make a maneuver to force an encounter. I actually got a pretty good maneuver. I really like Aklarka, might actually be my favorite planet in this planet pack so far. I mean, I might like Magnifica better because it has a bunch of more moons. Who knows, maybe if I get into planet logging, I'll actually add some more moons to Aklarka. There actually is a gas giant called Deception. It's like a rogue gas giant, though I have it set so that orbits Harmonia really, really far. It doesn't actually have any moons, so like there's literally no reason to visit it. Who knows, maybe if I take a crack at planet logging, I'll actually add moons. Either that or they'll come in a future update. Just because I really do like planet logging analogs, or like really, really far off worlds that might not even exist. Anyway, with this, I have a really good Sanctar encounter. And at this point, I think it's time to execute the burn and just wait. There is quite a while considering we are in a very high orbit and go very, very slow. So I do have to time warp quite a bit using a hyper warp. And then I end up overshooting. Oh well, I guess it probably won't be that bad. Considering even in an hour, missed this far out will make a very, very tiny, tiny difference. And with that, we have a good encounter with Sanctar. We'll probably reach there very, very soon, probably like 150 days, I would say. So that buys me plenty of time to actually set up the Harmonia 5 mission. But that will be the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you all later. Bye!